Hey guys, Dr. Yu here. Sorry this week's announcement came in a little bit late. I've been having trouble with annotating or drawing in Word for the announcement, not just for your class, but for other class as well. My computer just kept crashing. I don't know if you guys remember that, whenever we do the online class meeting, 9 out of 10 times my computer will crash in the middle of the meeting just because, I was writing something in the Word. Not sure what's causing this problem. I really can't have anybody from IT look at my computer now because we're in the pandemic and we're trying to properly social distance. So yeah, apologize for all that. Hopefully, it's working now because I downloaded Zoom. I'm trying Zoom now to see how it works. Hopefully it works well. All right, now before I start on the actual course material, I just want to quickly remind everybody of two things, really two minor things. First of all, get a flu shot this year. It's very important now that we are having a pandemic and COVID-19 is a respiratory disease. So it's a really good idea to everybody to get a flu shot to kind of at least protect you from, the flu. I know it's not 100% protection, but it's still, better than nothing. The second thing is about voting. I don't know if you have heard of this, that early voting has started. I believe it started on Thursday, and we went in on Friday to vote. And I felt pretty safe. Everybody was wearing masks. Some people were wearing a face shield as well. And then there was proper social distancing at the voting place. All the doors are open. There's a lot of airflow. And then you won't be there for too long, at least for the place I went to. It's near Queen's University. Actually, I think it is at Queen's University Sports Complex. So if you Google that online, you can probably find it with a list of other voting places. But that place is a lot less busier, and that's why we went there. So if you plan on voting this year, do the early voting so that you can avoid the large crowds on the actual voting day. All right, now go vote because that's the duty for a good citizen, and you want your voices to be heard. All right. Now let's talk about the actual course material. I put out the syllabus over here. You can see. If you look at here, it says this week we're supposed to have exam 3, but last week we just had the lab test, right? And then we were kind of trying to prepare for the lab test, so we're a little bit behind the schedule for the lecture. For that reason, I'm going to move exam 3 from this week to next week. All right, so exam 3 is going to be next Saturday and Sunday, a week from this coming Saturday and Sunday. I know it's a little confusing, so let me just put I can't look at the calendar here because I'm in the screen sharing. All right, so just know that it's for next week, right? And then lecture exam is usually on Saturday and Sunday. So basically, you have almost 2 weeks to prepare for exam 3, and it only covers 2 chapters: cell division and DNA structure and replication. Okay, so only 2 chapters for exam 3, and from this week during the online class meetings, I will help you prepare for exam 3. So for example, this week on Tuesday, I will talk about cell division. I probably will focus on mitosis, and then Wednesday we can go over meiosis, and then next week and next Tuesday, Wednesday, we can go over DNA structure and replication. All right. So just kind of real quick change about the exam schedule. All right, now let's look at the Blackboard. Okay. All right, now for the lecture, we're in Unit 4. All right, we're moving on to the 4th unit. This is the folder for DNA transcription and translation. So you can see that we have the study plan, quiz, and we have some videos. Each video is on different topics. First video is a little bit longer. It focuses on transcription. Second, on translation. And the last video, I forgot to put a title here, but it's going to be on mutation. So it's going to talk about, mutation stemming from the wrong DNA sequence, right? From transcription, and then how that mutation is going to be translated and produce the wrong polypeptide in translation. Okay? So the part 3 is kind of application aspect of transcription and translation in terms of mutation and how that could lead to genetic diseases. All right, now that's this particular lecture chapter. I want to point out here that this chapter, the name is very similar to the previous chapter. If you remember, the previous chapter is called DNA structure and replication. So that chapter focuses on DNA only, right? But this chapter is about gene expression. So it talks about the 2 steps in gene expression. So those 2 steps are transcription and translation. So this chapter involves not only DNA, but also RNA and protein. So this is totally different than the previous chapter, which only focuses on DNA, right? How DNA, what the structure looks like and how DNA gets replicated. So be sure you can differentiate these 2 chapters, because previously some students have really mixed up these 2 chapters. All right, that's about lecture, and let's look at lab here. So the lab is going to be still about cell division, but we are going to focus on meiosis this week. Last week, you focused on mitosis, right? You learned about mitosis. So this week, we're going to look at meiosis. And by this point, you should know the differences between the 2 types of cell division. All right, when you look at this lab folder, you can see 3 things. Meiosis, that's the eScience lab activity. And this is where you can submit your lab workbook. Again, if you look at the title here, this is the file I uploaded. You can see this is a modified workbook, right? So I have made some modifications to make it a little easier for you to fill out this lab workbook. And when you open it, you will only see this. So there are no questions this time. I only need you to go through the virtual lab and take a screenshot of your results. So that's going to be about the different stages in meiosis. And you can just insert your images in this workbook. Okay? So it asks for 3 images, and then you're done. Okay? Just upload this workbook back to Blackboard, and you're done for the second item. And then the last one is a quiz on meiosis. So do your best to complete the quizzes. You have 3 attempts, and I'll take your highest score. All right, that's all for lecture and lab. Let me see if there's anything else I forgot. When you look at DNA transcription and translation, you probably noticed that, there's no teaching assignment, right? And that's because I want to have a special thing for this chapter, but it will probably be next week or even after exam 3, because you need to study for exam 3. So that special activity is going to be a case study. So I developed a case study. This is about a real clinical case. I read about from a research article, and I kind of wrote a case study based on that real clinical case. And then that case study is about DNA transcription and translation. So instead of the teaching assignments, I'm going to go over that case study possibly next week, right after you learn more about transcription and translation. Okay, so this is why there's no teaching assignment. And for the rest of the semester, I will have teaching assignments assigned in the lab. Okay. This is all because of the nature of the later labs. You will kind of solve some genetic problems in the lab. So I'm gonna have you make teaching videos on how you solve those problems. Okay, so that's going to be counted as part of your lab activities. All right, I think that's all for this week. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in those class meetings. Remember, if you can, participate, because in those class meetings, I will go over study guides and Lumen quiz questions to help you prepare for the lecture exam.